Hello, everyone, and welcome to our writing workshop. I just turned off your mic. Don't worry about it. We're good. It happens. It's a virtual event. I think there have been maybe like one or two events I've done all season without any technical difficulties, so par for the course. Welcome. My name is Talia. I'm the events manager here at Flyleaf Books. You can see behind me. We are a general interest new and used bookstore in the university town of Chapel Hill, North Carolina. I know some of you are local, but some of you have never been to Flyleaf, so I just wanted to give you a quick little rundown of who we are and what we do. We have been operating for 11 years. We serve this community of Chapel Hill. A lot of our customers are professors or students at UNC Chapel Hill, where Sarah Dessen actually went to school and also taught. And we host a bunch of virtual events. Before, we hosted up to 300 events a year in person. Now we can't really do that, but we do have a pretty stacked virtual calendar, and you can register for any of those upcoming events or watch any past event recordings. For YA fans, we just recently hosted Tracy Dion for Legendborn, and that whole event video is available on our Crowdcast profile. So if you're interested, check it out. And of course, if you'd like to support the store and Sarah, you can buy personalized copies of her books after the event or during, if you so choose. Sarah is happy to stop by and sign books to your name. So you just have to request that in your order comment, and we will get it all squared away for you. Sarah is also going to be using a writing book today called What If? And if you're interested in purchasing that, it is also available from the link just below our faces. All right, I am going to go ahead and introduce Sarah now. Sarah Dessen is the #1 New York Times bestselling author of over a dozen novels for teens, including The Truth About Forever, Just Listen, and This Lullaby. Her work has been published in over 30 countries and sold millions of copies worldwide. She is the recipient of the 2017 Margaret A. Edwards Award from the American Library Association for outstanding contribution to young adult literature. Her latest novel, The Rest of the Story, is now available in paperback. All right, I'm going to jump out, turn off my microphone so we don't get that echo, and turn it over to Sarah.
Good.
Sarah, do you have headphones by any chance? Sorry, y'all. Sarah, I've muted you just so that we can get some headphones in.
Hold on.
Sorry, y'all. This happens. It's totally fine. Don't worry about it. You are still muted, just so you know. It's totally fine. It happens to everyone. I think we're all pretty used to this in 2021. We are going to be patient. Don't worry about it at all. We did a sound check and this didn't happen, so it's totally fine. Sarah, do your family members who are sitting in the same room have their sound on? Yes, no online event is complete without this. You are so right, Sammy. It's only once you get live that it happens. Well, how is everybody doing today? Has everybody, I've seen some people talking about their favorite book by Sarah. Yeah, if anybody else wants to drop their favorite in the chat, I'd be curious to know what your favorite book is. We've already been selling some books in advance of the event. And interestingly enough, it's been about evenly split between all the books. So as an event manager who has to buy the books in advance so we have enough copies on hand, it's been tough because it's split right across the board what people want. Everybody's saying their favorite book in the chat, and so we are finding a way to spend the time. Okay. Are you connected? All right. Can you talk?
I can talk.
Yeah, you can talk.
Oh my gosh.
It never happens in the sound check.
I'm sorry. You
are fine.
Okay.
All right. We're good. I'm going to hop out now. You ready? Okay. You good?
I'm good. Thank you. Okay. Oh my God. You guys have been so nervous about this. And here I am suddenly having to do it and the headphones aren't working. I mean, it's insanity. Okay. And then I had to run over to my house where my husband was sleeping. Anyway, I'm just going to stop. Hi, I'm Sarah. We had some problems. I'm glad to be here. Anyway, I'm here to talk to you guys about writing today. And I'm excited because I'm going to use this book, which is called What If? This is a book I used when I was teaching at Carolina, which was a while ago. But if any of my former students are watching, you guys may recognize this exercise we're about to do. So this is a book that has a bunch of writing prompts, basically. So the idea is that if you're stuck, or some of these are for if you already have a draft or you have a project in progress, but you just need to tweak it, or you're revising and you need help. So the one we're going to do, though, is a character exercise. And the reason I picked this is because I'm not writing right now. And I haven't been writing in about a year, to be honest. And it's the first time in my career that I've taken such a long break. And I guess it's the pandemic. I don't know. I had something started and it was going really well. And about a year ago, and then my daughter was out of school and everything kind of just stopped. And we all know how that is. So I haven't been writing. And so when the nice folks at Flyleaf asked me if I wanted to do something, I thought, well, I can't promote a book right now, but I can promote writing and maybe trying to write your way out of various stressful situations. And I don't know about you, but I've been pretty anxious. So what we're going to do is we're going to make up a character. We're going to get out of our own heads, which is another thing that's good to do. So this exercise is called, What Do You Know About Your Characters? And in the book, they say it's for if you already have a character developed and you want to get more information about them or go deeper. But we're going to do it just to create a character. And the reason I do this, I've done this exercise with people from kindergartners to senior citizens. And it's always really fun to sort of make up a new person together. Because the hardest thing when you're writing is not writing about yourself, right? Because what do you know the most about? Yourself. And what are you doing all day? Especially these days, we're all just sitting around inside of our heads. So the first step in writing is to write about somebody else, but sometimes that's hard to do. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a character together. And since we've already had technical difficulties, this may be even more exciting. So get ready. I have some helpers here. We'll see how helpful they really are. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to make up a character. And I am going to use my trusty legal pad. All right, here we go. Now, I'm going to ask a question, and you guys in the chat just put something in, and then my cousin and my daughter who are sitting here are going to grab the first thing they see and yell it at me or write it. And we're going to put it on here. It sounds crazy. It may not work, but we're doing it. Here we go. Okay. Everybody ready over there? All right. What gender should our character be? Wiley, what do we have? Wait, this is really slow. Okay. Why don't you just yell it?
Oh,
okay.
Boy.
Okay. No, I put female. We're already at female.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Female. How old should our character be? Yell it from the chat, Wiley.
There's a little bit of lag in the chat.
There's a little bit of lag in the chat.
It's coming.
We'll wait. It's coming. We need an age.
Like early 20s.
Early 20s.
21, 20.
All right. Early 20s. Okay. And now we should probably decide at some point whether this is happening during the pandemic or not, but we'll discuss that later. Because that's the fun of being an author. You don't have to write about the pandemic. It just isn't happening. Isn't that a great thing? Okay. So she's a female. She's in her early 20s. Is she in school or is she working? Let's see what the girls say. Survey says. Lag on the chat.
Coming in.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Oh, working.
They want work.
They want work?
Yeah.
And where does she work? I'm waiting.
They're saying university.
Oh,
No, they're saying work.
They're saying they work at university.
my helpers are arguing over what you guys are saying.
Oh, we got coffee shop. We got restaurant.
Ooh, can we do restaurant, please?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was a restaurant worker, and restaurant workers need all the support they can get right now. Okay, so she's in her early 20s and she's working in a restaurant. So if she's not in school, you guys decided she's not in school. So she may have just graduated. Maybe she's just graduated, during the pandemic, like some people. Again, we don't have to write about that. Okay, so she's working in a restaurant. What kind of restaurant? This is important because it really affects the kind of clientele and who she comes into contact with. We'll wait and see. I feel like Richard Dawson on the old Family Feud. Survey says
They said
Italian.
Italian. All right, I need someone to work on a name for this restaurant. It's an Italian restaurant, so you could always use some sort of Italian name. You could use some kind of food. You could call it, like if I would be like La Traviata.
They said Bella Cucina.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so say it again.
Bella Cucina.
Bella Cucina. See, that sounds like a place that would have a good flatbread pizza. That's what I think. Okay, so she works at Bella Cucina. Is she a bartender? Is she a waitress? Is she a hostess? Is she a cook? She may work in the kitchen. That would be a different story. Not a lot of women working in the kitchen. Let's see what comes back. This is great. If I had this kind of help, writing would be so much easier. I don't have to make it all up myself.
They said hostess.
Hostess. All right. Hostess with the mostess, as we used to say. Okay. What's her living situation? Does she live at home, as many people do in their 20s? Does she live in an apartment with friends? Does she live out of her car? Maybe she's moving from one place to another.
Apartment with roommates.
Apartment with roommates. Oh, and see, this makes it fun. All right. We have to do this now. All right. How many roommates?
6
Now, if
roommates.
this is Chapel Hill, she has like 5 roommates.
They said 6.
6 roommates. Oh my God. Are they all girls?
Someone's coming in.
The answer's coming.
They're saying 3.
3. 3 girls and 3 guys.
3 guys, yeah.
Oh my gosh. This is like a sitcom. I'm already interested in these people. I wonder how clean this place is. That's my other question. But I'm old, so that's what I wonder. Okay, so she is working at a hostess. So during the day, she's free, probably. So maybe she has a side hustle during the day, because a lot of people that work in restaurants are trying to do other things. I worked at a restaurant and I was trying to write novels. Everyone thought it was very cute because everybody else was in a band. And bands were much cooler than writers. Okay, so is there an activity that she's doing or that she's busy with, a passion maybe?
She's a yoga instructor.
She's a yoga instructor. All right, I like it. Okay, so she is a yoga instructor. She does that during the day. She hosts it at night. What is her relationship status?
Coming in.
Lag in the chat.
Lag in the chat.
Coming in.
And people always want it to be really awful. I'm
Single.
curious.
Single.
Single. Okay, that's not awful.
people are complicated.
Single's not awful. Single and it's complicated. Well, I hear that. Also working at a restaurant, there's no telling. She's living with 6 other people. My gosh, she has no lack of company. Can you imagine what that house is like during COVID? Whew, can't get away from each other. Okay, so she's single, yet complicated. So when we say complicated, I feel like maybe there's somebody in the past around.
Recently broken up.
Recently broken up. Ooh, what if she has to work with the person she broke up with? Maybe he works in the restaurant.
Yeah, like,
Are we saying it's a he? He works in the restaurant. She's a hostess. He's in restaurants, it could be anything. Bartender. I'm going to say bartender.
ooh, that's cool.
Because that makes it interesting. Okay. Okay, so she's recently broken up with the bartender. What's her family situation? Is she from the town she's living in? Or is she from far away? Let's see. Is she local? It's coming in.
They said that she's not from the town.
She's not from there. Okay, she's not from here. Maybe she came for a yoga training course
Oh yeah.
and fell in love with the place and decided to stay.
Everyone says far away.
Everyone says far away.
They said that she moved from big city to a small town.
Big city, small town. Maybe she has a mysterious past. See, there's me. I don't want anyone to move just to move. I want there to be some deep secret or some awful reason. I don't know. I've been watching too much Netflix that's depressing, you know. Okay, so, all right, so it's complicated with the bartender. So other than family situation, is she in touch with her family? Does she have siblings? Does she have step siblings, half siblings? Parents divorced together? I'm going to go, wait, I'm waiting.
They're saying that she isn't close to her parents.
She's
and
not
that
close to her
she
parents.
has,
Okay, they're strange, we'll say.
And that she has like 2 siblings.
2 siblings.
We're saying 1 or 3.
One, okay, 2 sibs. Let's do one older, one younger. Older one is Wiley, boy or girl?
Girl.
Younger one,
Boy.
boy. All right. Okay. So we're getting a lot of interesting information here. Okay. Now, what I like to do is to really to sort of dig down into the things you don't think about right off the top of the hat. Like what I like is to think about what scares people. And this is one of my favorite things because years ago I was doing this event, the same exercise in Charlotte at a school. And I said, what are they afraid of? And a kid in the back yelled, clowns, which I just thought was the best thing ever. I meant like, are they afraid of failing? Are they afraid of like not being accepted by others? No, clowns. So what is she afraid of? What is holding her back? Let's say something's holding her back. What could it be? Now, things that could hold people back. You know, we have the relationship.
She's afraid of being alone and afraid of commitment, people are saying.
She's afraid of being alone and she's afraid of committing. So she's kind of stuck.
And
Yeah.
spiders.
She's afraid of spiders. All right, I like that. See, you can do a lot with spiders. See, if you wanted to make her afraid of spiders, and at the beginning of the book, she's really afraid of spiders. Say you open with her trapping a spider in her kitchen, and then at the climactic point in the story, she faces a spider in some way, and the spider comes into play. See, there you go. You have so much to work with here, the spiders. Okay, so she's afraid to commit, but she also wants to find love. So there's a bit of a push and a pull there. Okay, let's see. What kind of car does she drive? Does she drive? She's a yoga instructor, so I don't see her in like a Dodge pickup, but she might. You know, you often skew Prius with a yoga instructor, at least here in Chapel Hill.
They're saying Jeep
A
or
Jeep.
a Tesla.
A Tesla. She's making a lot of money. She's a wealthy yoga teacher. I need to check with my yoga teacher and see how she's doing. Okay, so let's say that she drives a Jeep. I like that. Maybe a beat up Jeep. Does she have any pets? She's afraid of spiders, but pets are also important. Usually somebody has a pet, but with 6 roommates, maybe not. I would give her some kind of random pet, like a hermit crab. Like I would just think, You couldn't have a dog with that many people in the house. But what if you had something small, like a rodent or a hermit crab?
They're saying
One person said a fish.
A fish.
someone said secret cat.
Secret cat. That could be the name of the book.
Secret
cat. A secret cat. That could be a metaphor. You never know. Okay, so she's got a secret cat. And what's the cat's name? We need a name.
They're saying turtle.
Turtle. I love it. Okay, cat named Turtle. All right. So we've got our girl. She's living in a house in a college town, I'm assuming, teaching yoga, working at the restaurant at night, complicated relationship with the bartender. What does she really want to do? Does she want to be a yoga teacher, or is she aiming for more? Does she have, like, if she could have anything, what would it be? This is where somebody would throw something crazy out. She
doesn't know.
She doesn't know.
They're saying she wants freedom.
She wants freedom. Well, we all do. I feel her. Okay. She doesn't know what she wants. Well, see, I'm worried about this girl because, first of all, she's 22 and she doesn't want to be alone, but she doesn't want to be committed, and she doesn't know what she wants.
Someone also said Olympic archer.
Olympic archer. See, now we're going in many different directions. You can either be an Olympic archer or not know what you're doing. So you have lots of options there. Okay. All right. So once we get all this information, we move more into, okay, we'll do a couple more easy things. What's her favorite kind of food? Is it Italian? She works at an Italian restaurant, or maybe she hates Italian food. This is something else that can be helpful to know. You should be able to know what your character would order off a menu. That's what my teacher Doris Betts used to tell us.
They're saying Mexican.
Mexican. Well, I can relate to that.
Also carnival food.
Carnival food. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. What if her whole thing was going around the country following carnivals to eat the food? That's a whole story right there. It's like going to the movies for the candy. I love it. Okay. All right. So what I would do now with my students, well, also we need a name. Sorry, last thing, we need a name. Name, I'm waiting. Sasha, call out the first name you see.
Okay.
We're waiting. This will be the last time I put you through this. What?
Phoebe.
Phoebe. I love it. Phoebe, our waitress and yoga instructor. So, okay. What I would do then is I would make my students put our girl Phoebe into what I call a pivotal moment situation. And I used to do this with my students to just get an idea of kind of what was important to them and who they were. So I'd say, write about a pivotal moment that happened to you. And if you're putting your character in one, I would do, winning the lottery, being in a bank when it was being robbed, being in a car accident. I think those were the three. But and just what you want to do is write about this person having that experience while trying to work in as much information as you can. So if this was me, I would do something having to do with Phoebe maybe going to the bank. She doesn't know what she's doing with her life. She's going to deposit her tip money because otherwise she spends it all. That was me. Problem with being paid in cash. And she's standing in the bank thinking how she wants to be in a relationship, but she also doesn't. And she doesn't know what she wants to do with her life. And she's kind of hungry for tacos. And she's thinking she's in trouble with her secret cat, Turtle. So she may have to move. And then all of a sudden, a guy comes in and points a gun at the teller and says, everybody on the ground. And there you go. And we're off and running. So what happens to Phoebe? Well, Phoebe could, have to get down on the ground and then everything is okay and she leaves and she's unchanged. But this is a fiction story. So of course we don't want that to be the case. We want her to be greatly affected by what happens to her, whether she is forced to go into the vault with everybody else. And then she starts talking to the guy about why he's robbing banks and he doesn't know what he wants to do with his life either. And he's feeling sort of lack of commitment. Maybe there's sparks. Okay, that's not probably
People
good.
saying
We don't want to.
she falls in love with the bank.
Oh my God, you guys are right there with me. People are saying she falls in love with the bank. See, we're all just starved for romance. We've been home too much. Yeah. So see, they're all different sorts of things. So if you did bank, winning the lottery would always be, oh my God, that would change her life. Then she could get a Tesla. Anyway, so that is how I would do it. And I just wanted to give you guys a little showing of that. And I also wanted to talk a little bit just about writing in general. And I know there are lots of questions about writing and my writing, and I want to answer those. But just for a minute, I just wanted to say, I have never been a person that has been super confident in my writing ability. I come every day to the computer terrified that I'm not going to be able to do it. And I want to be honest with people about that, because there was a time when I was younger and I was the person at every reading, when I was attending a reading of a writer that I liked, and I would be raising my hand, help me, how do I make this easier? Why is it so hard? And I remember some writers were really nice and were like, it is really hard. And some writers were like, oh, I just, rise in the morning and float to the computer and the muse sings and the words come down and the birds sing, whatever. And that wasn't helpful at all. And I've had a lot of good advice from other writers during this period about not writing and how all these amazing books, I think, are coming. We can't always write about what we're going through when we're going through it. That's a reason why I write YA, right? Because when I was 18, I was in no place to write about being 18. And now I'm 50. And I'm starting to think maybe I'm not in a place to write about YA anymore either. Who knows? But I do think that we need to go a little easy on ourselves. And I know everyone's had a hard time with the writing. And if you're writing at all right now, be proud of yourself. And just don't compare yourself to a previous time, because we are not in previous times. We are in a time that is unlike any other. And if you can't write, read. If you can't read, stack up the books that you're going to read when you can read again. That's what I did. And I'm doing a lot of reading right now, even if I'm not doing so much writing. And I would love to do questions, but if you guys want to do another exercise, we can do that too. Why don't we get a read of the room? Hey, you guys look at the chat and see what they're saying if they want to do another exercise.
I'm going to do one question and then we can sort of jump back if we need to. I think there are enough questions that we could
That's
go to
great.
that.
I'd rather do questions than me.
People are saying exercise.
Oh, maybe we'll come back to an exercise at the very end.
Maybe at the end we can do a little quick one.
That sounds good.
Okay, so the number one question that the most people have asked is, can you tell us about your writing process from beginning to end? And I know that's sort of a big question, so you can spend as much time or as little time on it as you want.
Well, as I said, I have no writing process right now, so I'm not writing. But when I'm normally writing, I work every day, or try to. And that is always counted on me having childcare also, which I don't have during the pandemic. So that is one reason it's been harder. But usually what happens with me is I finish a book and I never want to write another book again. And I think I can't do it again. And then ideas start to crop up a little bit, but I never start a book until I have what I call my skeleton. And that is something else that they talk about in this book. And for me, though, the skeleton is first scene, climactic scene, last scene, first line. And the reason I do that is I have started books without knowing those things. And then you get to 300 pages and nothing is happening. So I need to at least have a sense of where I'm going. So I try to work every day. What happened with the rest of the story, which was my last book, is I had to kind of write it more quickly. And I think that's one reason it's taking longer to bounce back from, because it was a really big book and I wrote it in 4 months and it was a lot. Wow. So I think the harder the writing, the harder it is to start the next one. But ideally it takes me about 6 months to write a book from door to door. And my books tend to be, God, they've gotten longer. They tend to be between 300, 450 pages. So, but I'm working every day and I work straight through. I don't outline. I've always felt that it's kind of like building a house for me. You start with the foundation and you want that to be strong. And then whatever you build on after that, it has to be strong going up. And that's why I write in order also. I know a lot of people that like to write the last scene first, but I don't even know what my last scene's going to be when I start. Mm-hmm. So that's sort of the overview.
Yeah. Okay. I have a question from Lauren. What do you do on the days when writing is just not happening and you want to write, you know what needs to happen, but it's just not coming?
Have a lot of those days. Well, usually I will make myself sit here at my desk anyway, because Anne Lamott, who is an amazing writing teacher also, and she has a great book called Bird by Bird about writing. She says, butt in chair. That's what writing is. You've got to show up. But if I'm really having a bad day, I'll go out of the house. Like these days, it's harder because everything's been shut down. But a lot of times I'll go grocery shopping. I'll go to the mall. It is often when I'm not thinking about something. The more I actively try to sit and push and force, the worse it feels. So a lot of times getting up and going for a walk, go do something else. And also, but if you have enough of those days in a row, it means something. If you're really stuck and you're not inspired, then go back to the last place you felt that way and see if you made a choice there. Because sometimes I'll go back and realize, oh, I decided to break her up with this boy and the book's been boring ever since. Or, I made some big choice that didn't work. So if you go back and then you get the enthusiasm back, if you're not interested, the reader's not going to be interested. So that's your first sign. Just pay attention to what's happening.
Jordan asks, did you ever struggle with the thought of having nothing meaningful to say when you first started writing?
Yes. But I actually struggle with that more now because I feel like I had more to say when I was younger. I don't know, because I was writing YA. So it's kind of that when I first started, I had all these stories to tell. And now I'm older. I've written a lot about high school. So I'm more concerned now that I don't want to repeat myself. And I think it's hard because so much of the interior of these books is the same, which is, the friends and the parents and the school, and if it's summer, the job. But I do think it's always changing. But I think the story should lead you. If you're sitting down thinking, was what I'm writing meaningful? I mean, don't question yourself that much. Just sit down and do it. Meaningful to you also.
Right.
It should be meaningful to you. Like my mom was always proud of me, even if nobody else was. There were many years where my parents were the only people that read my books. And so you kind of have to decide what's worthy.
Yeah. Do you feel like you might move in a different direction going forward from YA?
I don't know. I've tried to write contemporary fiction before and nobody likes it. And they like it, but they say it isn't as good. And that's the truth. And I'm not sure why that is. Like the last book I wrote with girls in their 20s and 30s. And I really enjoyed it. But even I could tell that when I was doing flashbacks to high school, those scenes came off the page in a way that the rest of the book didn't. It just didn't. And maybe that means that, I'm 50 now. It's hard to say that out loud, but I am. So it may be that changes. And when I'll be more ready to write about my 20s. But I really like writing YA. I'm kind of stuck here. I like it here. It's really crowded now, and there are lots of awesome people. So it's kind of, I don't really want to leave. Like, I've been here for 20 something years, and now all these cool people are coming in. I don't want to leave. Stay here. We finally have some of the cool kids at the YA table. You got Angie and all these people. I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay here.
Yeah. So speaking of getting more people into YA, do you have any advice for unpublished authors that are in the process of querying agents? How long did it take you to get represented?
Oh, this is a good question. I actually have my cousin living with me right now, and she is querying. So I am having a view to this from her point of view, which is interesting because she's the same age I was. It took me a couple of years And I will say I got rejected a lot. But this is how old I am. This is pre-internet, you guys. So I don't even want to tell the story because it's and then I pulled out my abacus. Anyway, so it was pre-internet. So I had a book that was agents, and I queried and queried and queried actual letters that I mailed out. And then every day when I came home from my waitressing job, I would open the mailbox and there would be a rejection in there. And I would give myself the length of my driveway to feel really sorry for myself all the way up to the house. I went to college and I got a degree and I should be doing something more with my life. And I don't like my hair, all this stuff all the way up. But as soon as I got to the house, I had to send another letter out. So I did that for about 2 years. And then I was working for a writer named Lee Smith, who is amazing, who's my mentor. And she ended up showing my manuscript to her agent. And they liked it, but this was an adult book, so they couldn't sell it. And they said, we hear you have something else. And I was like, oh, it's not that good. And they're like, send it along. And that was that summer. And they didn't handle YA, this agent I was working with. And she said, I have this other junior agent who would be interested in this. Let me put you in touch with her. And I am still with that woman. Her name is Lee Feldman. And we have been together since 1994. We were both really young coming up, but she really saw YA as this powerhouse that was coming. And I'm so grateful. So it really can be a good match when it happens. And there's so many more ways to do it now. We were kind of stuck to the slush pile and mailing things. And I feel like with these query trackers and, there are a lot of agents that are out there asking for what they want, which I think is amazing. But you got to remember that your opinion of your work is the most important. And the best advice I can give you if you're querying and getting rejected is don't let it get in your head with the writing. My whole thing was I get a rejection, I have to go sit down and write. So they're not related, And then once you are published, you do that with bad reviews or when people are just mean. And that's, right. You use it to sort of push you forward. So it's all good.
Yeah. And I think you also made a great point about building community. You became in community with Lee Smith, and that made a big difference. And I think it's so much easier now in some ways to become part of a community with other writers through social media. So that's always a good place to start. Form a writing group, and then you can get advice from the people you know.
And I think it's so good to have writers in your group. I have a group of writers that I'm at a text chain with, and they don't write YA, but it's so fun. It's just nice to have. I texted them today, and I was like, I'm doing this event, and I haven't done a virtual event, and then look what happened at the beginning. Oh my God! But anyway, they said it was going to be great. Thanks a lot.
And it has been great. It's been great. You don't have to worry.
Than I've had in months. I have to say.
I have a question here from Frida. What do you do when you know what you want to happen, but you don't know how to build up to that point?
That's a good question. Because I know where I'm going with the climax. And if you read my books, I tend to put things in motion. So I tend to have events happening. I'll have the beach bash, or there'll be a big storm. There are lots of little tricks if you're, trying to move the action forward and you just don't know how to do it. And that's another place where these kind of exercises, one of my favorite things to do is to just sit down and write a scene where two people are doing something together, organizing something, or maybe they're playing cards, and just have them have a conversation. And often just by doing that, I can move things forward in a way. It's kind of stepping out of the regimented writing and being what do I need to do to get to where I want to be? And just throwing some stuff at the wall. I used to do that with my students at UNC. I called it spaghetti at the wall. I'd be like, what could happen? Let's just throw things. Something will stick. And it usually did.
Yep. Let's see. Ooh, this is an interesting question from Elena. Who has been your favorite character to write so far?
Ooh.
Is that something that you want to answer?
It's always weird with favorites. When people want to know your favorite book or your favorite character. Because I would say I only have one child, so she's the favorite, clearly, which must be nice. I'm not an only child. But I have 3 dogs, so I feel like I could never pick one over the others. That said, each book has been a different experience, and each experience I carry with me. Like, the reader never sees what I go through while I'm writing the book. But that said, the most fun was Remy from The Lullaby, because she was not like me at all. And I had just come off of Dreamland, which was a very dark book, and I needed something lighter. And writing Remy was like going to a party every day. And I loved that so much that I wrote like 75 pages of a sequel a few years ago. And I always tell people that and they get excited, but it's just, I don't know. I'm not a sequel girl. I'm worried that it wouldn't be as good. I don't know. So I put it away in my box of all of my books that I've put away. But, I think it's really interesting to see what's going to come out after the pandemic, and what everybody's going to be writing about. And whether I'm going to go back to the book that I was writing, which was about a girl with a really difficult mom, or do something else. It may be that book sort of feels of another time right now. And it's interesting that when I started writing, I asked on Twitter, I was like, are we going to be writing about the pandemic? Should I be writing like everyone's at home on Zoom, And overwhelmingly people were like, no, please, no, don't. I don't want to. I don't want to read.
There's going to be a lot of it. And I think honestly, it will be enough.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you need to, if you don't feel inspired to write it, don't. Because there will be a lot. And,
there's plenty for everyone. Oh my goodness.
I'm getting a lot of questions about the Netflix adaptation. Do you have anything you would like to share? Any news you can share?
I can't share much. I wish I could. I've heard little bits of things that are exciting, but nothing that I can share yet. But I feel really good about it, you guys. Like,
do you have any idea, like an approximate timeline?
Not that I can say anything about. But okay. I do feel like it's moved. I can tell you that it's moving further along than anything has since How to Deal. Like, which is not saying much because nothing's happened since How to Deal. But I mean, if you're as writers, if you're lucky enough to get things optioned, you're often like, like it's just every time it comes up for renewal, you're like, oh, please. And you have very little control over anything. But I feel pretty good about this one. So I'm keeping my fingers and toes crossed because I would love it. I think we need a summer movie set at the beach right now. I could use that.
Right.
I think we could all use that. But whenever I can say something, it will be on my social media. I myself am not on social media these much days, but anything like that is going to be right up on it. I promise.
Right. Well, we're all looking forward to it. And I'm sure everybody here will be, extremely excited to read those announcements when you are able to make them.
When I am able to make anything. Hollywood moves at a glacial pace. So does publishing, it feels like.
Publishing really does.
But publishing is like rapid compared to Hollywood, I feel like. And that's why it's so hard to be involved with the movie thing, because everybody wants me to have the answers and the truth of the matter is I don't know much of anything. But I'm just as excited as everybody else. And I love seeing all the adaptations. There have been so many good YA ones that I'm just like, I want one. So it would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to, I have one more question for you, and then maybe we can do another exercise. A question that several people have asked is, what have you been reading lately?
What have I been reading? Very good question. Well, to be honest, I went through a period where I was having a lot of anxiety and I couldn't read at all. So during that period, I was reading a lot of the news, which was probably giving me anxiety.
Yeah, that was not going to help.
I know. I made a lot of bad choices during the pandemic. But then I started reading it. Right now, I'm reading The Dutch House by Ann Patchett, which is very good. And I read, what else have I been reading? Oh, I read The Glass Hotel, which is by Julia, is it it's
Emily St. John Mandel.
Yes.
That one?
Okay. So she wrote Station 11, which you probably don't want to read during the pandemic because it's about a pandemic, but it is one of the best
a lot.
I've ever read. And the new one is just out in paperback, and it's very good also. And I'm trying to think of what else I've been reading. Oh, I read The Vanishing Half, which was amazing. Everyone is reading that book. My friend Courtney, who is my book person, has been sending me titles. So I just go by what Courtney tells me to read. We're both reading The Dead House right now.
Yeah, that one's on my list. I haven't gotten to it, but I've heard Ann Patchett speak, and she's incredible. So I'm really looking forward to it.
They're so, it's kind of like Ann Tyler. You know, it's like, it's good for you. Just feels good to read.
Yeah, just not a lot of good storytelling.
Yes, just solid, good storytelling. And that's what I'm drawn to more and more now with books, with television, with everything that we're kind of taking in during this period is just a good story. And I feel like we're finding out that there's all the marketing and then there's the good stories. So I'm all about good stories.
Yeah. Speaking of which, what have you enjoyed in particular watching this year?
Oh, well, let me think. What have I been watching? Well, we watched 2 shows I talked about this on Instagram, 2 shows on Amazon that are not safe for family. But Goliath with Billy Bob Thornton was very, very good. There's 3 seasons, and there's this woman on it that I just think is fantastic. And then we watched a show called Flack, which is about publicists, which was also on Amazon. We're rewatching Tiger King right now, which is kind of hilarious because my cousin didn't see it. And she mentioned to us that she hadn't seen Tiger King. And we were like, well, we must remedy this right now. So watching it a year later is pretty hilarious, I have to say, because I missed a lot. So I'm embarrassed to say that's what I'm watching right now. But as soon as we're done here, I'm probably going to go do that.
Something that I will recommend, I don't know if you've heard of the show Ted Lasso on Apple TV.
Ted Lasso.
So good.
So wonderful.
So sweet. And to anybody who is watching right now in the comments or whatever, watch that show because it will warm your heart.
And that's what we need. I think we tried to watch a lot. Like I tried to watch Euphoria because I try to keep up with what's happening with the teens. And I was like, ooh, this is dark. Like it was pretty dark for me, you know? And that's what made me think maybe I shouldn't write YA anymore. If I was like, if this is what it's like being a teenager these days,
I don't want it.
Yeah. So, but I do still watch a lot of stuff. I love true crime too. You know, I'm watching all the documentaries, all the depressing documentaries, everyone. I've watched them all. That's probably not helping my mental health either, but what do you do?
Whatever.
Whatever.
All right. Do you want to do another exercise to close out?
Let's do a really, really short one just to make.
Okay. I'm gonna hop out again, and then I'll come back at the end to sort of close out.
Yeah, this is going to be shorter than the other one. Okay, here we go. Now, this is a fun one that my students used to like. It's called Naming the Diner, Naming the Diet, Naming the Dog. And so basically, you're just naming things. But I always love this kind of thing because I like making up names of stores. And, you know, I created an alternate universe with my books because when I was at Carolina as a student, I wrote my first book that I was writing as an undergrad. I set it in Chapel Hill. A bad idea. So you take these chapters to workshop and everyone is telling you, well, you can't go left there. And, you know, that tree doesn't bloom that time of year. And you're like, So I was like, fine, I'm creating my own universe of which I will be the master. And so it's a lot of fun too. Okay. So I'm going to yell these out. If you have a piece of paper, you can write them down. But if you just think of a good one, say it in the thing. Here we go. I'm just going to free association. Ready? Okay. A name of a desert town. A name of a racehorse. A name of a literary magazine. Ooh, you could go super pretentious with that. Find some literary term that's like part Latin and do that. A new disease. Ooh, skip that one. Oh, rock band. My favorite.
For the desert town, they said Mesa.
Mesa. Somebody said for the desert town. I like.
Or Mesa Ranch.
Mesa Ranch. Okay. A summer cottage. I did a lot of that with The Moon and More. And I love a good summer cottage. A good summer cottage time. Oh, triplets.
For the summer cottage, they said Bibble Bubble.
Bibble Bubble. I like Bibble Bubble. You'd have to have like it in wood right there hanging, like, welcome to Bibble Bubble. I like it. Okay, triplets. Mariposa. Which is that? The horse?
The triplets.
The cottage. We don't know. Okay. All right. A liqueur. Or what I used to say, a drink, like some kind of drink that you might order that had a bunch of straws. And if you saw Barb, I'm losing, Kristen Wiig, they had these big drinks, right? So a drink like that, I don't know, you have to think of a crazy name for it. A blueberry.
They said spicy water for the drink.
Spicy water. Ooh, would you like a spicy water? I think I could sell that in my former waitressing life. Okay, a diner. The frou-frou. A new planet. A polluted river. Gosh, the polluted river.
For the triplets, they said Lily, Eli, and Liam.
Ooh, Eli, and Liam for the triplets. Ooh, I might have to write that down. I've been known to steal a name from an event. Ask the girl named Coley that went to Gray Colbert High School. Ended up in Keeping the Moon. Okay, poetry collection. That would go along the lines of the literary magazine. A chihuahua. Oh, come on. The best thing to do with a little dog is give it a big dog name, like Hulk. Or a burglar. A beauty salon.
For the polluted diner, they said the sludge.
The sludge. The polluted river. Oh. A soap opera. Ooh. We'd have to use some adjectives. The mean and the
For the chihuahua, they said
public. Okay, and finally, a lipstick color. Or you could say nail polish color. Those were always my favorites. Now, if you're not a nail polish person, you don't know how much fun it is to make up names for nail polishes. But anyway, that's just a little one. But it gives you an idea of creating a different universe. You can populate it with whatever you want. And it also, if you're stuck, sometimes doing a really sort of silly exercise like that of just making up things takes your brain into a different place where something will come. So anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed the exercises. I'm sorry for my technical problems.
Don't apologize. It happens. It's happened to me. I had an event this week where I couldn't even get onto it on the computer. I had to do it from my phone. So,
see, okay.
You know, don't worry about it.
See me running around my office like a crazy person. So there's
whatever. I mean, you can say, you did a virtual event in 2021. You experienced it.
I get to check that on my pandemic bingo card.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. It's always such a pleasure to chat with you, hang out. I remember a few years ago when the first time I met you, I was like, oh, Sarah Dessen. And now I feel like we just chat all the time, which is lovely. And thank you to everybody for coming out. It's been such a fun time, super engaged chat. And before we wrap up, I just want to give a quick reminder that you can buy personalized copies of any of Sarah's books from the link just below our faces, as well as What If you enjoyed the writing exercises we did today and you'd like to learn more. It may take a few days to get those out to you. I believe that my coworker Jenny just came in and she was like, we're selling out of everything. So it may take a little bit of time, but Sarah will come by and sign your books and we'll send them out to you. And if you know somebody who has a favorite Sarah Dessen book, you can always buy a copy for them and get it personalized, which is a sweet gift. And remember to check out our virtual events calendar if you are interested in seeing any upcoming authors we have. And Sarah, we look forward to hosting you in person whenever your next book is ready. There's no rush. But
no,
we do love hosting you.
I don't know when it'll be. You'll be the first to know.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody for watching.
Thanks,
and you can watch the replay. You can watch the replay of the video if you missed anything. If you want to share with a friend, just refresh the page when we're done and that event video will pop up.
Awesome.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
Everybody. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.